Welcome back to GayFatFriend and Friends, the podcast. The podcast for unprecedented babies.
Hey.
Oh my God. What a time to be alive. And by what a time, I mean, what's happening?
Seriously, every morning, what now?
Today has been the longest year of my life. Hello, everyone. I am GayFatFriend, a.k.a. Todd, and joining me, as always, is my teeny tiny, adorable little husband, Rob.
Hello.
Hi, babe.
Hi.
Today, what a day, huh?
Oh, seriously, I slept in. And
You
so,
did?
like, I woke up and I walked upstairs and saw the TV, and you immediately asked, like, oh, you knew about this, right? Or did you hear about this? And I was like, no, I hadn't looked at my phone.
I was going to say, it's because we are both phone next to the bed sleepers, and
Yeah.
like it or not, the first thing we do is look at our phone as soon as we open our eyes. So I assumed you would have seen it right away. But
Nope.
What we are talking about is today is Sunday, July Sunday, and
21st.
is that the day?
Yes. Look
President-
at me knowing the day.
President Joe Biden has dropped out of the race, and Kamala is taken over.
Yeah.
Mamala. Project Coconut.
Coconut people.
I have the coconut emoji is already at the top of my list of emojis. I've used it several times. Project Coconut is a go.
Well,
Project
seriously.
Coconut.
For a while, I did feel like I had just fallen out of a coconut tree,
It was a lot to take in.
but I've come to terms.
because I
with a
was
lot.
1,000,000,000% team Joe's never dropping out. He insisted. He said it was never going to happen. He was staying in. He was supposed to accept the nomination over the phone this weekend. Like, so much was, I don't know, foreseen that Joe was never dropping out. Even up until like yesterday, he was saying, I'm not dropping out. And then boom, he dropped a Notes app apology on Instagram and peaced out. So yeah, it's a very, I was very, very scared at first, and now I'm very excited.
Seriously, yeah, I woke up.
Took about an hour.
I woke up and just looking at the news, of course, me being very negative, I tended to just sort of, my brain went in all sorts of horrible directions, like it does. Thanks,
Yeah.
brain. I never liked you. And then, but then, like, at least getting to, and hop in my online echo chamber, where I honestly assumed it was going to be even more negative than where I live. Thanks, internet. I was actually surprised to see
Yeah.
that there was a lot more rallying and sort of understanding and just sort of, hey, this is where we're at. Let's go. Like,
Yeah.
this is, like, we accept the terms. Now is the moment. Let's go. Let's do it.
I'm very. It's kind of Game of Thronesy, but Joe beat the bad guy by 10 million votes. So in my brain, it's like Joe beat him once. He's gonna do it again. He's Obi-Wan, our only hope. And so I got very scared. But Kamala was also on that ticket, and now she's just moving up one spot.
Yeah.
And she will beat him as well. And I'm very excited because honestly, this takes out a lot of the bad stuff that I was thinking and going through my head, having to justify an ancient man running for president again who clearly just needed to retire.
Yeah.
And so now we don't have to worry about that argument at all. It's done. He's president for 5 more months, and hopefully he does some serious Dark Brandon shit.
See,
Now that he has Supreme Court immunity.
I'm afraid of repercussions that happen if that swings back the other way, but it is fun to think about.
But it's almost like a senioritis. Like, you're going to graduate in 5 months anyway. Who cares?
Right.
You're not going to Mrs. Smith's geometry class anymore. Screw her. But yeah, so very exciting, unprecedented times. Honestly, can we live in some precedented times? Can we just live in plain old, ordinary, precedented times?
I think you can in Europe.
Every single day, especially for us millennials. I mean, look at the timeline. We've had the AIDS pandemic, Princess Diana, which, like it or not, that was a very globally traumatic experience for a lot of us. 9/11, a lot of other bullshit. We had the bright spot of Obama. That was a very bright, delicious spot.
We've had how many economic collapses?
Right, the real estate collapse, the recession,
the tech bubble.
the tech bubble bursting,
Yeah, like, I don't know. I'm tired. It's just deregulation out the ass.
the GD pandemic, literally just the bad guy's existence, his whole 4 years in office.
Well, and it's weird to be like, and I guess, it's funny because I feel like a lot of elder millennials, are often very much like, seriously, every single moment in our life is a historical event. And like, obviously we didn't live through like Vietnam and stuff. And like, there were some very large historical events that happened before us. But like, yeah, like we got a pandemic, which, hadn't happened since like 1920. But like it is a thing though. It is weird, especially like I was born during the Reagan administration, which of course a lot of, at least, you know, people on the left tend to look at as a dividing point, or a sort of seismic shift.
That was the split.
Yeah, that was the moment when a lot of things kind of careened out of control. Like that was when basically capitalism went super unchecked and unregulated. At least, you know, I'm not a super up on all this stuff, and so I may misspeak here, but at least and a lot of people do point to Reagan as kind of a big moment when a lot of protections were abolished or sidestepped or changed. And so it is weird to kind of feel like I've always been kind of on the back foot when it comes to a lot of things. Like it's just that same thing.
Well, and one of the reasons why we have fond memories of the Reagan administration is because we were children, and it was
Life
the
was
80s.
simpler.
It was the 80s, and we were children, and like literally nothing mattered between the ages of 1 and 10 for me. And so I had video games, I had board games, I had best friends, I had summers in the country. Like, you know, I had all those like stupid, almost like Gen X memories of childhood where like we drank from a hose and had no cares. But I think if we'd been adults in the Reagan administration, it would have been a hugely different story, especially as homosexuales.
Well, yeah, that's the thing also, especially like, you know, I mean, even through the Clinton administration, I was a child and had no real opinion about anything. But it is funny to think even of like Don't Ask, Don't Tell happening during that time. If I'd been aware of who I was as an adult, and, you know, what all of this actually meant in the grand scheme of like in the future, this is kind of setting up building blocks to be, you know, I can't think of the word, like regulated against, but like, you know, to have legislation against you is crazy. And like that.
Also, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was happening while our people were dying in huge amounts and being ignored by the government. So it was a terrible time to be who we are. We definitely were born finally in like, I think the greatest time for us to be who we are.
Which it is shocking though, given the current climate of the sort of rubber banding backward, which I do at least feel like in the grand scheme, we're still taking, like, even if it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, at least it is in that direction.
But universally, the numbers keep going up on our side for acceptance and, you know, people coming out of the closet. Our numbers are only climbing.
Thanks, youth. Yeah. Like that's actually, I mean, and that is a great thing, at least, that I feel like we're giving a lot of vocabulary for people who've always felt just a little bit different. And it honestly doesn't make a huge difference in how you operate day to day, but it's giving you vocabulary and how you can identify and relate to others. It's, you know, and I think that's valid.
But about more about Biden dropping out, we were just talking about this earlier. Like, this literally takes away so many arguments from the bad guy side. Like, he can't bitch about Biden's age anymore because now he is the oldest person in the race and he is the one who is on mental decline and flubbing all of his words.
Well,
and then also all that he really has left now is sexism and racism.
Well, and like
that's not going to go down well for him.
One of my favorites is the Hunter Biden stuff, which
I
never
now
understood.
That's off the table.
Yeah, I never understood how that was ammunition in the first place.
It's all they had. They were grasping at straws.
But like seriously, like now that's completely pointless. Yeah. Like it has zero.
They have nothing.
Yeah, he was never a political candidate to begin with, and now he would have zero influence over another political person, which is just, it's beautiful.
What's funny is, you know, Kamala's history is as a prosecutor, and technically she's kind of on the wrong side of history with progressive beliefs when she was a prosecutor. So, you know, the party of law and order, if they try to go after her for that, it's like she was doing your bidding at the time.
I feel like in 2020 she had to work against her reputation when it came to minority voters.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm hopeful. I'm ready to rally. I'm ready to sort of get behind the cause.
Again, we were talking earlier. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. I don't want to lean into it, but sometimes it's fun. Like sometimes it's fun to just let your brain think things. And I'm like, what if this has been the plan the whole time? What if that, like, every single step has just been planned and thought out, and they were like, no, we need to do it mid-July. We need to do it this way. We need to flub the debate hardcore. We've got to flub the debate. That'll lead to this.
Then comes COVID.
We'll plant seeds. Yeah, then he got COVID, and they were like, let's plant all these seeds, and we can do this way. Like, I don't know. I guess it's a glass half full kind of optimistic take.
This is we are the generation that grew up watching Dave. Where it's like there's definitely, like, you know, there's a machine in the background and you are able to make some stuff happen. But no, it's like, you know, at least that's a better even with this fantasy, it is still a much more I don't know, rational thing than
Yeah.
we're hearing behind, like, you know, the lizard people and,
and it's,
various masks and things that
like
other
I said
people are
before,
spouting
my
sometimes.
Game of Thrones brain likes to go through all that. Like, this has been plotted the whole time. This is the last episode where we see all the planning that's been happening up until this moment. You know, it all starts coming out. It's my favorite part of the show.
Let's just
So,
hope we're not going into season 8 of American Game
Decline.
of Thrones.
Yeah.
Let's just hope we're not going into the season 8 moment.
But anyway, yeah, I was literally panic attack terrified for about 30 minutes, and then talked to friends and loved ones, watched a little bit of progressive news, checked the feeds, and then realized, oh shit. And then the one thing I was mostly nervous about was that he did not, like, no one said Kamala was taking over. And then the next post, he posted another Notes app thing saying, yes, it's very much Kamala and it will be Kamala. So very excited. Now it's exciting to see who her VP pick is going to be.
Right.
It will probably most definitely be a white man. That's pretty much a given.
Well, and you know, just to talk about internet speculation and stuff, I mean, it's interesting to see, like, all the various names thrown about.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I know at least one that is super interesting is Mark Kelly.
Yeah, I
like-
think it's going to be the astronaut.
Right? I mean, seriously, how is it not, like, it's funny, as much as it's easy to, like, thirst after firemen, astronauts still feel,
dreamy.
they still feel like such a weird paragon of, like,
Dreamy and magical. Also,
know,
he
know-
he is handsome. His life is amazing.
well, and I know we've had problematic astronauts, like, they are not infallible, but, like, still there is a certain level of, like,
Yeah.
they've gone beyond where any of us can go. And yeah, and, like, of
Like
course,
you said, it guarantees Arizona.
and his wife is cool.
Awesome.
And so, like,
And if anybody deserves to be the spouse of a president or vice president, it is Gabby Gifford. She's
Seriously,
amazing.
like-
Took a bullet to the face. Trump took the bad guy took a glass shard to the ear. She took a bullet to the face.
yeah, like, seriously, Gabby Gifford is, like, a true triumph story.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's married to an astronaut, like,
Come on, that's an American dream.
yeah, and seriously, and, like, yeah, I don't know, there's something very cool about that, plus also in a swing state.
Yeah.
You know, hey, so yeah,
I mean, dream of dreams, pie in the sky, Pete Buttigieg, but I don't know if we're ready for a minority president and an extreme minority vice president. That's a hard ticket, I think, maybe.
I love Pete.
As much as I want it to be Pete
Yeah.
all the time.
I love Pete, and but also though, hey, if he's not the VP, he still gets to go on Fox News, where
Constantly.
it seems like he's about to get his ass handed to him, and then he comes with receipts.
Yeah.
So you know what?
He's
If
so
he was
smart.
actually in an official capacity, he might not get to do that as much. So let's let him be Mr. Clapback. Like,
He is so smart.
yeah, like, so I don't know.
Oh, speaking of Pete, that reminds me of a story that happened this week. So the bad guy tried to start this rumor that he didn't think Pete was actually gay because, like, people that went to college with Pete or whatever said that he's actually straight because he doesn't come off as gay. And I was like, it's so funny to see straight people discovering, like, mask for mask straight acting, kind of like a thing our community has processed for years. And they're like, well, everybody that grew up with him said he wasn't gay. And it's like, none of us were when we were kids. Like, we weren't
Right.
allowed to be. And you got to mask and you got to, like,
Yeah,
put on code switching and stuff.
I was gonna say code switching for self-preservation. Like, people do not understand why the gays tend to, like, identify with superheroes so much. Like, we've worn alter egos for years
Yeah.
to not appear as others.
Yeah.
Because we literally can be victims.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hey, straight Republican people, welcome to 2008 and discovering what straight passing and mask for mask means.
Well, it's that same thing of, it's like any, I mean, growing up even just with Republican, friends and family, that whole thing of, like, well, I don't know any gay people. You do.
Oh, yeah.
They aren't comfortable telling you. That's why you don't know any, because you are seen as not a safe person to be open with.
Yeah.
Like, that's why. It's not that, like, you are truly a real barometer of what the public is because you've never encountered one.
Mhm.
No, you are literally being protected from a thing that will probably upset you to know.
Well, and being from the show me state, literally, like, if people don't see a thing right in front of their eyes,
Doesn't exist.
it doesn't exist. But also now we're entering a time in history where something can be right in front of your face and you're like, I still don't buy it. And it's like,
Yeah,
you're
jury's
holding
out.
it. It's like, say, I don't know, if someone didn't believe reindeer existed and then you put a reindeer in front of them and they're like, no, I still think they're a mythical thing invented for storytelling.
See,
Like someone
when
I
it comes to
know.
that, I think there still might be some validity there.
if you're not familiar, one of my favorite stories of all time is Rob did not know that reindeer were real animals. And one night on the sofa, I forget how it came up. Was it in a movie? We're sitting next to each other. This is back in LA years ago.
There is a Simpsons episode where they go and shoot a reindeer because they can't find a deer, but like also that's a cartoon.
Yeah. But we were watching something and I want to say like you were like, I forget what I said, but you were like, wait, reindeer are real? And I was like, wait, what? And Rob did not know that reindeer existed.
Well, I just don't understand why there are deer and reindeer. First off, it's just one
It's
of those
like bats and wombats. They're just different animals.
I guess, but they're not that different of animals. They look so similar. Bats and wombats do not look similar. It's not like, it'd be like, honestly, it would be like if you wanted to play with that sort of naming convention, it should be like a mouse and a bat mouse, because that way, because like they do look similar.
Yeah.
Like you have one and then you have
Or
one
a
with
rat
wings.
and a bat.
Exactly. That actually makes more sense. Kind of like one looks like that and one with wings.
Yeah.
But like bat wombat, no. But deer reindeer, if you put them next to each other, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They would both just be different looking deer. It's like you put two breeds of dog next to each other, a Chihuahua and a Great Dane. I would assume those are completely different animals and cannot breed.
I want to say, and
They're
I could
just
be wrong
dogs.
on this, but I'm pretty sure reindeer aren't even deer. I think.
Oh, really?
They're a version of elk.
Elk aren't deer?
No, they're not. They're in a different family. It's like moose. They all kind of look the same, but they're not.
See, and yeah, this is just a huge gap in my knowledge. This is one of those things that I've never had.
This is just Big Deer trying to cover up a conspiracy theory on Rob and Darza. But so the funniest thing about this too is that we have not recorded a podcast in 2 weeks because we went on vacation.
Yeah.
And like we recorded everything before we went, but then stuff came out after we got back. But now this is our first time recording since vacation.
So we can actually talk about it.
Yeah,
instead
so we
of
can
just
actually
talking
talk
about it in
speculation.
the future.
Yeah. But so much. We thought we were just going to talk about going to Ocean Shores, and now we have so much more to talk about. But,
Well, seriously, and also we did a first time experience for us last night as well, which we can also talk about.
Yeah, we went to a Seattle Sounders soccer game, which
Yeah.
was
It was
fun.
fun.
It was totally fun. I have some opinions about the city planning of the city of Seattle.
But I think it was actually my first time possibly in a football stadium.
Well, I've seen concerts in football stadiums, but
I don't think I've
never been to a football game.
Because like I've been to like the Forum and stuff. Like I've been to like huge venues that I think usually host basketball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I've actually been to an outdoor professional football stadium before until yesterday, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think the only stadium I've ever been to was the Dome in St. Louis. Because I don't think I did anything in LA. Like, where did the Raiders play?
Probably Coliseum. Like, well, it's like I went to USC for 5.
Oh, that's downtown.
I went to USC for 5 football seasons, and I've never been to the Coliseum.
Oh,
Fun
the
fact.
Coliseum is next to the Science Museum because we went to see the mummies. Remember we went to see the mummies?
I've also never been to the Rose Bowl, so there's that too.
I've never been to the Rose Bowl either, and I watch a lot of people that thrift that go to that Rose Bowl flea
the swap
market.
meet, yeah.
Never been to it.
Anyway.
We literally lived 2 blocks from the Fairfax flea market, and we went twice.
I went there a little bit more
Over a
'cause
decade?
I lived in that neighborhood for like 7 years before I met you, so I went there a few more times. But
You went before me, but
yeah.
we lived literally 2 blocks away from one of the biggest,
and never went.
and never went.
No, well, it was hot.
Yeah, it was hot. It was crowded. It cost money just to get in, just to shop, and I was like, "This is dumb."
The one thing I always wanted to get was records, but the one thing I never want to buy that's been sitting in the sun is records.
Yeah, that's
So
a
it's
huge
like-
mistake.
I mean, like, and usually it was shaded, but I did end up with a few warpies from there where I was like, well, I wanted to support, but also I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, our trip to Ocean Shores, what
Yeah.
a magical time. It was so great.
it was
like,
cute.
I was nervous because I know that
'Cause
a
that's
lot.
you?
It's me. I'm panicking all the time. Now I'm panicking. Anytime I leave a safe bubble of like a major city that I know is safe, to have to drive through maybe scary country or to go to a part of a city that might possibly be scary politically and socially, always makes me nervous. But it felt really progressive and clean and nice. We did have to drive through some scary backwoods country where there were questionable signs and flags, but we got to the actual Ocean Shores. If you've never been, Seattle is not on the ocean, which a lot of people don't understand.
Blew my mind.
Seattle is on the Puget Sound, which is kind of far from the actual ocean. So it was about a 3-hour drive. We took Ruby. She was great in the car, except she was a nervous wreck. And would not lay down and just kind of stuck her head on the armrest between us, like right here between us, and just panted for 3 hours.
Hot breath on elbows the whole way.
But with the air conditioning blasting, it was cold in there, but that didn't bother. That didn't change. She was panting nonstop.
Well,
but she did great. She didn't like puke. She didn't get car sick. She didn't poop or anything. Like she did a good job.
Yeah,
she didn't bark. She didn't cry. She
sweetheart.
whined a little bit. And I was like, "You're with your dads. You're safe. Why
here.
are you whining?
Like, it's okay. We're all together.
You have your toys. You have your bed. You're safe." But we think that maybe it was just the sound of the road underneath the car and like the vibrations of driving in a car that kind of freaked her out.
Because our car is not like a luxury car. It's not the smoothest ride, and so like you do tend to get some road noise. But also, some of the freeway or some of the roads we were on were very quiet, and some of them were extremely loud.
Yeah, that was the thing too. Is like
there was a lot of difference in texture we were hitting.
It's only like 90 miles away, but it took 3 hours because a lot of it is like 2-lane not backwoods roads. They're well maintained, but still, you can't go 70. You have to go like 40.
Like you're driving through wooded areas. I mean,
and
not like super curvy, but like
towns.
very much like one lane in each direction. On the upside, seriously, between going there and coming back, I saw one unsafe passing situation where they came into oncoming traffic. I saw one. And that was it, like one.
Someone passing a car in front of us.
Yeah. And so I do have to say, like, kudos for the lobotomized drivers of Washington, just sort of accepting your place in line and just driving. Yeah. Like, that was actually really nice, because I feel like if you were driving in Big Bear.
Like, when we went to Big Bear or Palm Springs or something, people would just pass.
People are crazy.
People would pass on the right in the median. It was terrifying.
Yeah. And so, like, I will say, as much as I tend to, complain about the passive drivers of Washington, well
Good
done.
job.
That was
Good
nice.
job. Yeah. But then we got there, and Ocean Shores itself is kind of a useless beach if you're going for like beach time, because it's very cold. The water is freezing, and it's very windy.
Well, and also, like, was it
very windy?
Did we figure out if it was the tide or if it was just that time of year that, like, when we went, like, there was a full-on line. I guess it was probably because of the tide then, but like there was a full-on like line of just assorted dead crabs.
Oh, I saw a TikTok about it. They weren't dead crabs. They molt. That was just shells.
Oh,
literally, there were thousands of crab shells, and we were like, "What is going on?" They're all empty.
Because I was curious why none of them were super stinky, and like there were like the little flies and stuff, but I guess they were just kind of.
Because I kept commenting, I was like, "Did someone have a giant crab fest like
and just leave all the pieces here?"
Because they looked cooked and like they were everywhere, and I was like, "What is going on?" Yep, it's
and I imagine actually if there'd been meat in them, Ruby would have been much more intrigued than she was with like, "Oh, what's that?" Moving on.
Yeah, it was just the shells, and they had all just molted. It was molting season.
I wish they'd put up a sign somewhere, just like that would actually be a nice little sign when you leave, like, "Hey, you are coming in," like next to that weird totem thing that looked like it was cursed that we walked by. It would be nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of driftwood sculptures.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a sign that just been like, "Hey, crab carcasses. They're empty. It's fine. Like you are like it's not like the beach is poisonous. And going to kill you like it did these crabs.
A very wide beach, like just from like the street to the water. Felt like half a mile. Like it's a very long walk just across sand and dunes and stuff. It's a dune beach, and it felt very much like the Hamptons, or like Cape Cod or something. It's just like these big dunes of all this like super tall grass and stuff, and then it shoots down into sand, and then the sand is very wide. A
lot of places to drive on though. Like we were right. Yeah,
you can just drive onto the sand.
Yeah, we were walking into a spot probably like I imagine equidistant between two drive-on spots.
But there's a lot of kind of just like goat trail paths through the grass between houses, and there's a public one by the Airbnb that we stayed in. But all of these trail paths, someone has built like a driftwood sculpture at the end, so you can find it in the grass, because you can't see it if you don't have that sculpture. And the one by ours was like a teepee covered in boots
and buoys
and like netting and stuff. It almost looked like some kind of like
Wicker
memorial.
Man.
Yeah, it looked very much like maybe a memorial to people lost at sea.
Well, and it was nice. It was a functional piece of art in two ways. First off, yes, it was a beacon, so we knew where to find our way back into the going to disappear and murder you grass. Because for me, it was like past the hips, basically. It was
tall
high.
Grass is the enemy of the tiny man.
It is. But also though there was like a rope hanging connected to the sculpture, and the sculpture was pretty solid because I was able to use it to fully pull myself from where the soft sand was.
Yeah, it was very
up
soft
to
sand dunes, so
and, like,
you had to like pull yourself up.
Yeah, and there was like a solid, and it was an intense slope, and I was doing it in flip flops, so I had to actually get a little bit more something to help me up, and like I was able to use my full weight on that rope hanging from that sculpture, so like it was doubly functional.
Yeah.
Which
Meanwhile,
was nice.
I just used Ruby. She pulled me up.
Oh yeah, she is. She's a little like accelerant, just
Yeah, and she was really great. She loved the sand, so it was kind of an experiment for us since she was rescued from the beach in Mexico. We were like, how is she going to react to an ocean again?
But yeah, she did
And
not care about the water though.
She did not care about the water, and she did that thing where like a wave would come in and she would perfectly stay behind it and like let the waves chase her. She did not like the water, but she loved the sand and just like she's a good sniffer. She loves to sniff.
Yeah.
And so there were a million sniffing opportunities for her. But we had a great time.
The house.
The house we stayed in, beautiful, like totally either very recently remodeled or brand new construction from like 10 years ago. It just felt like a very clean, brand new house. And it's a dog friendly house. The owner has had the backyard completely converted into a dog park, a private dog park, totally fenced in, grass, turf.
Yeah, 2 big turf paths.
Like soft
pieces.
mulch, this like rubber mulch. Really great. And Ruby just loved it. We just played tennis balls for hours.
Fully fenced. So yeah, like
totally
you can totally
safe.
just like let your dog run.
There were a very aggressive seagull family on the house behind ours that had like built a nest, and their babies were like hatched and walking around,
But not flying yet.
Not flying yet. So they were I don't know, adolescent seagulls walking around. They were a little brown and fuzzy, but
Just
they couldn't fly yet.
Kind of just pacing
But
on the roof all the time.
Mom and Dad seagull just would not stop screaming at us and flying over us. They dive bombed Rob and Ruby one time.
Yep.
And I was like, chill, seagulls. We're not coming for your kids.
Stop it now.
Mine. But yeah, it was such a great time. And we had mentioned before, we never take vacations. We have to kind of be forced to take a vacation. And this one was so good because we could fully disconnect. Like there was Wi-Fi, we had cell service kind of, but we were also like, you know what? Neither of us have to do anything we don't want to do. So we did puzzles. I drank a ton of wine. We watched movies. We watched Titanic, Labyrinth, Goonies, Moon.
Yeah, which I'd never
by
seen.
David Bowie's son.
Yeah, which I really enjoyed. I'd never seen that before.
Watched a lot of like House Hunters because the Airbnb had cable, so we watched HGTV.
We hadn't seen House Hunters International in so long.
So long, and it's just as bad as you remember.
Oh my God, seriously. Like these expats, man, they're like, I want to stay in a place that's really nice, and I don't want to spend more than $90 a month. And it's like, cool, you need to move to the past.
Well, and then they'll go to these cities and she'll be like, okay, I couldn't do $90, but I found $100. And they're like, whoa. And you're like, $100 a month for 3 bedrooms? Come on.
That's tax.
It's
just be cool.
We all know that it's all staged and fake now. Like,
yeah.
They've already selected and signed the papers on their apartment before they even film. But it's just the way the producers get these people to tell their stories. It's like, come on, no one's doing that.
Yeah.
Speaking of real estate, we made the mistake of looking at what real estate costs at Ocean Shores in Washington, and we could pretty much own 10 houses if we wanted for what we pay in rent here. The real estate is so cheap. And I was looking at Zillow. It felt like every house is on the market. Like it almost feels like a retirement community, but no one wants to, like, people stay for like a year and they're like, oh, this is too removed from society.
Right. Well, and it's like, and it is cute. Like I could see myself like just in the age of, order by mail. Fine.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's livable there, and it is nice.
There's a fully stocked grocery store. It's a little old, but it's fully stocked. There's
but like, do you
a handful of delicious restaurants.
Do you never want to see your friends ever again?
Yeah, or like go to a Target, or go to a mall, or see a movie in a theater. Like there's nothing out there.
And also like, and I'm sure you can look at the historical numbers on this, but I guess it only takes once. More importantly, you are in a tsunami zone. And like that's a thing where like I don't know if
there were signs everywhere for tsunami instructions, and I was like, this is a little too scary.
Like and seriously, I want to be like, let's look at the historical. No, it only takes once. Like that is all that matters, and I do feel like we are in the direction where like that once is probably more likely coming in the future than it ever happened in the past.
Yeah.
But still, it's one of those where like seeing any sign for tsunami planning, I was like. Oh yeah. Let's drive faster through here.
It is nice to know that option is there because in case society crumbles, we could just remove ourselves to literally a mansion on the beach overlooking the ocean for like $600,000.
And even then, also like driving on the way to there, we did drive through a small city, which I've forgotten what it was called already. was it? It was just past Aberdeen, I think. It was the city that had the slogan of the friendliest city, like in Washington, or the friendliest city in the world.
Yeah, I forgot what it was.
And I don't remember what it was, but I mean, it seemed nice. But like, and why would a sign lie to a person?
Yeah.
So maybe we don't have to go to Ocean Shores. There are friendly places on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
And and also, like people were asking comments, I think, on your story. We did go to Carl's Jr. on the way.
Yeah, both times. On
Yeah,
the way
and on the
there
way
and the way
back.
back.
Yeah.
Because it was exactly halfway.
Yes.
So we were like, we can stop. We can all go pee. We can get burgers. We can have some water.
So I got to have my waffle fries and my Carl's Jr. burger.
Oh,
like,
what a treat. It was so nice.
seriously.
Also, Olympia, or I guess we were technically in a
Lacey.
town called Lacey, but it was a fast food lover's dream. Every single fast food and restaurant and a beautiful Target and a grocery store. I was like, what? I feel like I'm in some kind of weird modern utopia where everything I want is right here.
We died and went to Pleasantville strip mall heaven.
Yeah. People give me a lot of shit for loving like corporate fast food and shops and stuff, but it is comforting to know that like you can just go get something you know is going to be good and that you're craving.
Honestly, I mean, it is, at times not great, but like the standardization of knowing what you're getting.
Yeah.
Like just
Seattle is a great food town if you want to spend $25 on a burger and fries. It will be a delicious burger and fries in a restaurant cooked by a chef, but like that's all there is. Like, I need cheap fast food options as well.
Yeah.
Especially just for comfort food reasons, because comfort food is a big part of my life.
Yeah.
I'm comforted by food and memories and smells. And yeah, so we got to go to Carl's and it was a delight.
It was very important.
Was there anything else? Well, yeah, we just had a fun time. We did not play mini golf because it was busy.
It was crazy busy.
It was really busy. The arcade, we didn't play any of the games, but we walked through the arcade. Again, very busy.
But yeah, we got to do a little bit of shopping. You got like an ornament to hang over your desk.
I got a glass buoy, one of those glass buoy floats that fishermen used to use. Nautical home decor kind of runs in my family. So like hoarding, I got to kind of be careful with it because I can really fall into it really quickly. Like, I'm not saying like we would have a full like beach bathroom, but if I didn't pay attention to what I was doing, it could turn into that really quickly.
I'm not one for the slippery slope argument, but
yeah.
That is the prime example, I think, of how that could happen.
All
like
of a
you
sudden,
blink and whoops.
Yeah, there's portholes and signs that say like this way to boats and
right?
captain's quarters.
Like
and I'm like, what have I done?
It's like you look at my laundry basket. Like everything in there was acquired, one moment at a time. But like you blink and whoops, oh my God, everything is gray.
Yeah.
Like just how'd that happen? Like, well, I bought one gray thing at a time, and now all I own is gray.
Now you have 50 gray shirts and shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do that a lot. You'll get dressed and we'll go out and you're like, wait, is this too much gray? And it's gray jeans with a gray shirt and a gray hat. And you're like, maybe.
I'll change the hat.
Maybe a millennial. Stop wearing so much gray.
Yeah.
But yeah, perfect vacation, totally relaxed, totally disconnected, like recharged. We got home and we were like, we feel good. It was the perfect amount of time. We actually kind of didn't want to leave, which is rare for us. Like usually the last day of anything, we're like, let's go.
Yeah.
And we're
always
driving off the beach and I was like, I'm kind of sad.
Yeah. Everywhere we go, we're always there one day too long.
Yeah,
and
just with anything.
Yeah, and this was one of those where it was like, oh, but also I have to say, I mean, having Ruby with us really does, it makes you not so like we have to get home.
Yeah,
like
it kind of brings like the biggest piece of home with us.
Yeah, like because I feel like she's the biggest pressure that we ever have of like feeling guilty that we're not at home or kind of that we're not here more is usually and it's not just because like she needs to be taken care of. It's just because we honestly genuinely like spending time with her.
Yeah, she's our baby.
And so, it's one of those where it's like, and her being with us, and she was so happy. Like, it was hard to take her away from there.
Yeah,
so,
she got used to that dog park.
Oh,
really hard.
Yeah, she got real used to just being like, we're going in the back now.
Yeah,
like
gonna go play tennis balls.
Yeah.
And then the other, like we mentioned earlier, the other big eventful thing was that we went to our first professional soccer game.
That was
to see the Seattle Sounders at Lumen Field
playing against LA Football Club.
I have some notes. So I don't even watch soccer at home, but I've never been to a professional soccer play, or soccer game. There was a lot of theatrics. Okay. A lot of like overacting on the injuries, gang, trying to get different penalties and stuff.
Seriously. I'm hardly a professional soccer fan or football as it were, but like I was even able to identify that LA Football Club was doing some flopping.
They would they'd barely touch another player and they would flop down to the ground and hold their neck and
writhe in agony
like 20 times.
And
you guys, it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, one like my favorite was the one that like kind of went down, complained, bitched and moaned, and then when the ref was like, nope, moving on, he literally just sprung up like he was fine so he could chase the ref and yell at him. Like, I was surprised how much of soccer felt like court.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of weird because, like, in hockey, it's very much just like, let them work it out. We will pull one or two of them into the box. Like, and it's just, and the game keeps moving. It's so a thing, but there's so much of like, stop, we're reviewing the tape.
Yeah.
The crowd will either cheer or jeer depending on.
Yeah, people were so aggressive in the stands
justice
too.
being served.
Yeah.
It's a lot of court of public opinion, and it was very strange. But yeah, seriously, like, as I even was like, what the hell? Because like seriously, like they were flopping like crazy. Even and like a more regular fan turned around, and they were like, oh, this team especially tends to flop.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Well, they're from Hollywood.
A lot of actors. Yeah.
My other note is that the Sounders colors are just slightly ugly. Like, I love green and I love blue, but it's just like a weird shade of both.
I wonder what their away uniforms look like.
I'm wondering if that's the black and red ones I saw everyone wearing, because I saw a lot of black and red jerseys everywhere, and I was like, those people are cheering just as hard when Seattle does something good. So I'm wondering if that might be their away jerseys, because they're black with like burgundy flames and stuff.
But yeah, we got to have some upscale stadium snacks. The food was not messing around.
The food was good. You got poke nachos.
Yeah, I got tuna poke nachos, and then I got like what it was like a 6-pack of like bao dumpling,
like soup dumplings. Oh, they were delicious.
So good. And that chili oil.
Well. They were spicy and tingly and delicious and savory.
And giant pretzel.
I got a plain glizzy. I just got a hot dog. I didn't put any sauce on it because I was wearing white, and Rob doesn't like condiments. So I was like, you know what? I'm not dealing with it. I'm just going to eat it plain, which is fine. I love a hot dog and a bun.
We did some beers.
We got a pretzel with cheese.
Yep.
We did some $high Bud Lights. And it was super fun.
Nice.
I bought I should have brought it with me. I bought the Rainbow Pride scarf because scarves are a big thing at soccer games, and I love an accessory.
Yeah. Like scarves up is like their thing. So we did not know that.
And they had a beautiful, first of all, the stadium itself was very progressive and liberal. There's like protect trans kids signs everywhere, Black Lives Matter signs everywhere. Like, it felt like a very safe space.
It's Seattle.
Yeah. Lots of rainbow merch. So I felt very safe and happy to be there.
And of course, even though the game started at 7:30 p.m., we are in the summer, so the sun is up forever. So like, it was an interesting thing being at a stadium during like daytime, because like the last
because it's fully open.
Last sporting event we went to was at the Climate Pledge Arena, which is very indoors.
Yeah.
And it was at night also, and it was during the winter, so it was already dark like when we got there at like 6.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting for me to be in a sporting arena during the day. But like, do you want to talk about Seattle's planning problems here?
Yes, that's my last note. So they played at Lumen Field, which is where Taylor Swift played. Like, it's the big football stadium. It's where the Seahawks play. And then literally next door, across the street, is T-Mobile Park, where the Mariners play. And there was a Mariners game at the exact same time as the Sounders game.
And this happens a lot.
Just seas of people walking in, cars, traffic. Luckily, I will say, they had police directing traffic and people everywhere. Like, everywhere,
not signs, humans.
There were people hurting cars and like whistles and hands, and like, luckily we were easily guided through, but it was insane. Just the level of people walking to these stadiums. I was like, who thought this would be smart to put two high-performing stadiums right next to each other?
Well, and I made the mistake one time, and never again, to go to the Silver Platters record store in Sodo, south of downtown. And it's basically, you have to pass by, and because I want to say it's like 5 blocks basically from the stadiums or something. It's pretty close. It might be a little bit further, but it feels very close, because like, I want to say, when you park there, you will see some people on foot walking to the stadiums from there. Yeah. They're ambitious folks who like to walk, but you will see people walking to the stadiums from there. But like, I made the mistake of going to this record store, and it was lovely. I love that store, but like, holy crap, getting to and fro that place during 2 sporting events that you are not a part of never makes you resent people more.
Yeah.
Because I was like, holy shit, and it was the biggest mistake I think I've ever made. I don't either go to that store unless I can confirm there is not an event happening, because it was that bad.
I will say we got out really easy. We left early before the game was over because they clearly were not going to win.
Yeah,
they were losing.
We were having a real rough game.
So we got back, and we prepaid parking, so we were in like a nice parking garage at the stadium, and luckily, again, tons of people directing traffic. We got out of the parking garage, and on our way home, we were home in like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so it was nice.
Even with the detour, like that kind of overruled our maps from the car
multiple
times.
Even though there is a stoplight you can turn left at, they weren't letting anyone turn left at that stoplight. So we had to like go down and flip a U-ey and come back because you could only turn right into that parking garage. But we made it.
Well, and on the way out, it also overruled my directions and kind of sent us in a new way, which added like, I don't know, 20 seconds. It was nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it was very smart traffic management when we left, but also we did leave before 2 games ended because both games had not emptied yet.
And that is my question for anyone listening or watching. Please answer this if you know. So we're leaving, and the parking garage was between the 2 stadiums, right? We could see directly into T-Mobile Park. We could see the stands. We could see the field. Like, blah, blah, blah. And there were literally thousands of seagulls flying over that stadium. And both stadiums are open air. Both stadiums are full of people and lights. Those seagulls did not exist at Lumen Field. We saw none. But next door at T-Mobile Park, thousands of seagulls down in the stadium.
It was a noticeable amount of
what was happening? Why did that happen?
Into the stadium.
Does anyone know?
Watch. Here's where we find out that like Lumen Field has snipers and no birds, or like as soon as it enters the airspace, they just get zapped.
Well, I wasn't going to say snipers, but I was going to say maybe some kind
deterrent,
like a tone that they can hear or a smell. Because why was that? Why was T-Mobile during a Mariners game? Thousands of seagulls. Are they actually like giving away Mariner fish?
Well, seriously, I was joking around that instead of bobblehead night, it was chum night, or something like sardines.
It was crazy. I was like, Lumen had just as many snacks, popcorn, pretzels, all that stuff. So like, it's not I don't think it's a thing of people feeding people snacks. There was just as much snacks at Lumen. It was so weird, and we were like, that's. Living where we do, we have to deal with seagull poop as a ton as it is. Like, I can't imagine the people in those stands. They must have just been splattered.
Because as we were leaving, it was at least, and we were parked on the roof of the parking garage, so we had a very clear view into T-Mobile Park. And it was just one of those of like, and also I think a lot of the birds kept going right in front of the spots or like the stadium lighting, so they were extremely lit up, and it was just like, what is happening?
Maybe it was like Ocean Shores. Maybe they just had a lot of nests there, and they were all protecting their babies.
And then that's just a thing that you have to deal with for this entire month of baseball season.
Yeah, it's just a thing. Everybody's like, oh yeah, the Mariner seagulls. Like, that's just a thing. You go to T-Mobile, you're gonna get seagull pooped on.
But there's specific merch that celebrates it.
So that's been our very eventful year-long week. At GayFatFriend and Friends. We had a vacation. We went to a major sporting event, and now we have a new nominee for president. It's a very exciting time to be alive. I will say, before we go on to our last segment, that when we went to the Kraken game versus the Sounders game, I got to say, Kraken take it. It was a much more fun experience. Climate Pledge Arena is a way better arena. It was wintertime, so it was like nice and cool and cozy and fun. I very much liked watching hockey more than I liked watching soccer. The fans were more fun. The food was good. And then Climate Pledge is like really close to our house, so it's so easy to get to, like really easy to get. We took an Uber.
Yeah, like honestly, like the Sounders game was really cool to see, and it was fun, and like, but
it's summery. It felt like summer.
Yeah,
we were outdoors. It was hot,
and that was
sunny.
Nice. But and I do prefer it still to baseball. But I feel I've actually I've never seen a live professional football game, but honestly, the start and stop of football drives me nuts. So the short plays just get to me. So honestly, I feel like.
And the Kraken has a way better hype team of like an organ player, chants,
and buoy,
screens, a mascot. Like there were like these drummers. It might have been like a special night. I don't know, but there were like these like tribal drummers drumming the entire game.
There was an
and
entire
I was like,
section.
If we sat next to the drumming section, I think I would have gone crazy.
Yeah, well, and they had flags that they were literally waving the entire game as well, which good for their shoulder muscles.
Right? I was like,
also,
are they going to wave those flags the entire time?
But
I
can't imagine sitting one row behind them and just having a flag in front of your face for the entire game.
Yeah. But when it comes to Seattle professional sports, so far Kraken is in the lead. I'm wearing the hat right now.
Yeah, so far, not a bad experience at all. But I will say the Kraken though, that was like. It very much is an experience that I think speaks to what we like about sports.
I personally think the Kraken players are more attractive. They're better to look at. I like the aggression, It's very fun.
Well, I much prefer watching hockey players play, but I think, I think soccer players are probably still like if I'm just going to stare at somebody, like they're the although someone did post a comment on one of your posts about the soccer game saying that Seattle has a rugby team and it's currently in season as well.
Yeah.
Which that might be a fun one for us to go see too.
Yeah, that could be fun.
That's the eye candy sport.
That's probably not like a huge major stadium, so it's probably easier to navigate too. But all right, well, having said all that, let's move on to our final segment. Speaking of fast food, what's your order? What's your order?
Like, speaking of fast food, I was like, because we were talking about athletes, they're fast.
When people are listening to the podcast, it will have been a couple minutes ago. For you, it feels like it's been forever since we talked about fast food, but people are like, no, he just talked about fast food 10 minutes ago. I have here our trusty blue Rip and Dip shoebox filled with, used to be fast food, now it's just times, occasions, places, thoughts of food. And we're going to pick one out and say what our order is. So, Rob, you go ahead and you pick, because I don't know whose turn it is. But today's What's Your Order is going to be about...
movie concessions.
Movie snacks. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, this is a good one.
Well, and seriously, and no moment too soon, because my battery is about to go out for some reason.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, you never plugged it in.
I did plug it in, but I guess it was lower than I thought it was. So, hey, let's go.
All right.
Movie concessions.
Let's finish this up.
Yeah.
We used to go to the movies all the time. Now we do a lot of movies at home, but we are very much popcorn people. I have perfected I'm doing chef kiss fingers. I've perfected my popcorn making skills at home.
Yeah.
I make a mean bucket of popcorn.
We've done a highly curated home experience with trial and error and all sorts of efforts. But like ours is specific also to even like the creation vessel and the serving vessels too.
But my in-theater snacks kind of change locationally, if that makes sense, or maybe theater chain like. But back in LA, when it was still open, our theater of choice was ArcLight, and I would always get popcorn, and then I would either get Sour Patch Kids, or I would get like chocolate-covered peanuts, because I love that. But usually, I always I like a sweet and salty, so I do popcorn and like a chocolate or popcorn and a gummy. And the cool thing about ArcLight is they like once a month there was always like if you were in the club you got a free concession, and it was usually always candy or popcorn
or their caramel corn, which they were known for, which was kind of a special treat
that came from Dean and DeLuca or something.
No, they made it in house.
Did they?
Yeah.
But yeah, they had the best caramel corn.
It was good, and I never got it anywhere else.
Yeah,
so it was like very much a exclusive to them thing.
And then like in Missouri at Missouri Chains, I like to get the super cheap nachos where it's just chips and like orange cheese.
Yeah, with you peel off the top of the
I love movie
container
theater nachos, but only like in Missouri, like when I'm with Kendra, my best friend, like we love a good movie theater nacho situation. And then I will, and I feel like in the Midwest in Missouri, or like smaller chains, go into an AMC. That's when I sneak in the candy, and I like to sneak in some Twizzlers, some gummy bears, sweet tarts. I like a fruity, chewy candy to sneak in, because you can just put it in your back pocket. No one's going to see it. Oh no, do we get a commercial on
No, we're going to the screensaver. Yeah, it's been frozen.
Great. We're talking about our fireplace.
Yeah.
Our fireplace just froze.
We might have technical issues with our fireplace to match the technical difficulties of the world.
Which is weird, because it does feel like it's 1 billion degrees in here.
Right, hey.
Very hot since we turned off the air conditioner. But all right, Rob, what do you enjoy at a movie?
Must have large diet soda, typically Coke Zero if they got it. That's the dream.
Big, crispy Diet Coke.
Yeah, giant soda. Default popcorn. Typically, a little bit of butter, like not a ton. That oil does kind of like kill me later.
Yeah, we definitely get like upset stuff, like popcorn tummy.
No, it's very much one of those of like, oh, I'm middle-aged. Slow down. Yeah. But I do love movie theater popcorn. That's the number one. And then, if I'm going to do a candy, it's probably either Sour Patch Kids or the little mini Butterfinger box.
Those like a Bunch of Crunch too. I forgot about Bunch of Crunch.
And so I'm a simple man with simple pleasures. I'd say that's probably it. I used to be a Red Vines kid for some reason, but I think I just like something to chew on.
Well, I'm Team Red Vine and Twizzler. I like them both because they're both very different.
I do enjoy them both, but at this point though, and this is also I think just being in Los Angeles for so long, I associate Red Vines 100% almost exclusively with craft services. Which
100% because they have that big tub from Costco.
But it's so strange though that like literally I've been, not to flex or be like but I've been on enough sets at this point where now I only want Red Vines on set.
That makes sense.
Which is very infrequent. It's not like I'm on set all the time. But still, it's one of those.
But like Red Vines are very much like fake cherry flavor, and Twizzlers are strawberry generally.
I love the fake strawberry of Twizzlers. Like it's funny, especially like a pull and peel. Oh, I love that.
Oh my God, we ate so much pull and peel during the pandemic. Like we did a lot of like panic shopping in LA during the pandemic because the shelves were bare, and we somehow got into pull and peel, and we ate so much.
Well, it was such an
pull and peel.
interactive.
Every time I go to the store, I'd get the mega pack of pull and peel.
Like I don't play with my food when I eat it, but pull and peel, I absolutely fully
like
interact with.
Candy string cheese.
Yeah, and so like while I'm watching TV, just peel as you like dangle it into your mouth. That's how it
And
goes.
super fake plastic cherry is your favorite
Oh,
flavor.
chemical cherry is
Yeah.
seriously one of my absolute favorite smells and often flavors.
And I'm really into it now too.
But yeah.
I got the cherry perfume from Target, and we do the cherry soap from BB Dubs.
But yeah,
so.
chemical cherry is very much an underrated thing. But it's also like I'm not a huge fan of like natural grapes. I love chemical grape.
Oh yeah, Grape Crush, such a good soda.
Yeah, or even just like I love grape soda, and like Dimetap tasted good when I was a kid growing up. Like chemical grape, I'm down.
Gotta be careful.
Well, I mean, but like when I was a kid, I was very sick all the time, and I needed decongestant.
Well, I used to eat those Luden's cough drops because that was just cherry hard candy. As
Oh,
a kid,
yeah, like-
everybody wanted Luden's cough drops.
Yeah, Sucrets was like candy too.
They were just candy.
Yeah.
But all right, well, your battery's almost dead, and I think that covers our movie theater snack
Right?
selections.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are good snacks, and we got a lot of stuff to watch tonight, so we're gonna have those snacks today. But thank you guys so much for listening. What a time to be alive. It's very exciting. I hope that things get better and go to plan, and I'm very excited to see what the next 90 days are going to be like. It's going to be quite a thing to see.
I'm genuinely hoping that next week we have no big news to report, and we can have the most like milquetoast conversation ever.
Can we just ride this like exciting, like, okay, he dropped out, Kamala's taking over, it's a thing, like let's just ride this wave for at least a week.
Yeah,
let's just be good.
Let's have a no news week.
Yeah. But we love you. Thanks for listening. Remember to like and subscribe, tell your friends, share it up, and until next week, we love you. Goodbye.